Please be seated. So who's the 10-minute guy? Who keeps the clock and says 10 minutes are up? Okay, now this was a big rule, in the time of Father Skelly, may God be good to him, and Father Kippy Moran, God be good to him, was the timekeeper, and you didn't fool on him. Well, I know that the time is, how you say, somewhat looser today, but because some of you might have an appointment to get your nails done or something like that, I'm going to try and stick to it. We all know that the Immaculate Conception tells us that Mary, from the first moment of her conception, was kept free from sin in view of the death and the resurrection of her Son, Jesus Christ. But what does it mean, really? Most of us grew up in the time when the meaning of the Immaculate Conception was all about sin and the lack of sin. I remember there is a prayer that St. Louise de Marillac supposedly wrote, probably inspired, that the Daughters of Charity say between the mysteries of the Rosary and at other times. And this is how it goes. It says, Most Holy Virgin, I believe and confess your holy and immaculate conception. Pure and without stain, Most Holy Virgin, through your immaculate conception, through your perpetual virginity, and through your incomparable title of Mother of God, obtain for me from your divine Son humility, simplicity, and charity, great purity of mind, heart, and body, a great love for my dear vocation, the gift of prayer, a good life, and a happy death. The first time I heard that prayer, I was in the car, and I was the driver for the sisters. Now, my brothers said the sisters prayed that prayer because they knew you were a terrible driver, and they wanted to make sure, they were with God at the end. Might be. But I was surprised because I had never heard it, and I'm saying to myself, why are these sisters so concerned about these evils? Because I, like everybody else, thought about the Immaculate Conception in terms of sin. But St. Louise did not. She thought of the Immaculate Conception in terms of the love that God had poured forth in the Blessed Mother and the love that God has poured forth in us. And it is that love and not anything else she believed that helped her sisters each and every day to go forth among the sick poor in their homes throughout the city of Paris and in other places. That's a stunning thought. And it asks us, can we do the same? And I think the answer is, why not? Why not think about the God who came to us in our own baptism and who, before most of us knew anything, poured his life into us? So it's a life that we've always had. And then we say, well, I've sinned. And there we've fallen back into an old mentality that sin wipes out grace. It is not true. What does it say in the Gospel of John? The light shone in the darkness, and the darkness could not overcome it. And that's the same with us. So it's important for each and every one of us, as we live this Immaculate Conception, to see this. It's important, first of all, for all of us who are the Vincentian family, and each and every one of you is Vincentian family, because in our family, the real cast of the Immaculate Conception is about the good within us. People believe that Mary came to Catherine Labouré in 1830 because the poor people of France were concerned that these new changes of government they had were going to mean more secularization and more separation from God and more difficulties all the way around. And the coming of Mary was to say that's not true. God is still with us, and he will stay with us till the end of time. Same message actually is in Our Lady of Guadalupe when Mary says to Juan Diego, "How can you not trust me? I am your mother, the mother of mercy, the mother of grace." So we need to be people, first of all, who trust in the power of the love of God. And not in the power of the love of God that's administered as if it were time-off sentences of sin, but the love of God that's given because God is so good. Do you all sing in your church the song, "God is so good"? You know it? Sing it along. God is so good. You know, oh, beautiful. God is so good. He's so good to me. Perfect. He is. Let's act like it. Secondly, as you know, the Immaculate Conception has been something that we have gathered up together in the defense of life. Good thing. And Our Lady of Guadalupe, because she appears to Juan Diego pregnant, is also a sign of life. Are we going to be life givers? Life givers cannot be people condemners, no matter what people do. It's easy. I've been through it, where I get mad at people because they did something to me and I'm offended and I don't speak to them. And when I think I'm powerful enough, I yell back. What good does that do? Not a bit. And remember, God has not asked you and me to take up a particular brand of politics. He has asked us to believe in his Son. So let's be pro-life in every way, pro-peace as well. Let's extend the hand across, not only to our brothers and sisters here from other cultures, but our brothers and sisters outside. Let's give a sign of respect to the women who wear the burqa right here in our own neighborhood. Let's give a sign of respect to any mosque we see. There was a famous Archbishop of Algiers at the end of the 19th century, and anytime he came to a mosque, he got out of his carriage and walked out of respect for the God who came to visit his people in that mosque. These things are important. Third and finally, one of the themes that is in that prayer of St. Louise is the theme about purity. If we take purity only as something negative, we are going to find ourselves stuck. We have to take purity as something positive, as a way of living that leads us more and more open to God each and every day. If we can do this, we will find, if we are having problems with, let's say, how can I put this nicely? Roaming hands on my mouse that lead me to things I ought not to see on the internet, they'll calm down. And what we will find instead is grace and love, just as St. John promises in the prologue of his gospel. So, 9 minutes by my count. So I'm done. But all of us together have the project of believing deeply in the Immaculate Conception, according to the way that St. Louise sees it. Secondly, of trusting God no matter what is going on. And third and finally, of being people who know what true love is and can give true love. All right? Praised be Jesus Christ. And thank you so much for listening.